Hello everyone, Chef Erika and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and we are here for yet another video, and still going to be making the most amazing chicken sandwiches, and they whip up pretty quickly if you decide to buy the buns, but if you don't, like I did, it can take almost half a day, but trust me, they are absolutely worth it. So we're going to start with the large chicken breasts. Here I have 3, and just want to gently slice them down the middle and divide them into 2 even pieces. Basically you're butterflying the chicken, then splitting it into 2. This is going to give us like thin and even chicken, because if we cook the whole breast, there's a chance it will be almost dry and almost too much for someone to consume in like a bag, because we want one even bite with all the components. Once we do that with all the other pieces of chicken, you now just want to gently place them onto that same chopping board. Gently lay them out in one even layer, and now we need to smooth these out. You need to make sure they are level so that when they are frying, they don't take different times and they're all the same sort of moistness, so that you don't have some pieces that are dry and some pieces which are very moist. So once you have laid them out like that, you just want to gently cover them with some cling film over the top, and then you can take anything you have. Generally people use a kitchen or a meat mallet, but I personally do not have a meat mallet, so what I did, I just ended up using a rolling pin, just something that is hard enough to pound that chicken so that you can get it nice and evenly. Especially when it comes to working with the breast, you need to start at the tip, because you need to start at the top of the breast, because that is where it's thicker. When you're moving towards the tip of the breast, it's where it's a lot thinner, so that's why we need to make sure it's nice and even. So make sure you apply most of your pressure at the top and not at the tip of the chicken. Now you're just gonna gently place them into a large bowl, and you can start to marinate these. And you could take any approach when it comes to marinating this chicken, but personally for what I did, I decided to go with a buttermilk based marinade, and this is pretty common for most people who are making chicken like this. So what I said, by adding in some freshly crushed garlic into our chicken, and then to that I went in with some maziwa mala and a lot of spices. Here I was using salt, pepper, paprika, thyme, cumin, salt. Like, there were a lot of spices. I'll list them in the description box below so that you have an idea of what they are, and I'll list also the measurements down there as well. So once you've added in your spices, you wanna add in half a bottle of maziwa mala along with some lemon juice, and give everything a really good mix. The lemon juice and the maziwa mala is really important because they're acidic ingredients and they're going to moisten the chicken. You might find it weird that you're adding a milk product like maziwa mala to chicken, but trust me, it gives you the best results. And if you don't have maziwa mala on hand, it's like something you completely don't have, you just need to combine some milk and some vinegar and let it sit for like half an hour. Or you could just decide to mix up yogurt and loosen it with some water and add some lemon juice. That just works just fine, and make sure it's unflavored yogurt. So next we're gonna start to make our buns. This is optional but highly recommended. This is not my recipe for buns, this is Joshua Weissman's recipe for buns, and it's amazing. So I won't even get into it really deeply, but just know I'll leave a link in the description box below for the video that he made about these buns, and a little more about that. So basically you combine the milk and the yeast and sugar, and then let it proof, and if it doesn't form that bubbly thing you saw in the beginning, just know your yeast is probably dead, and kindly advise you to go buy another one, because the dough in general will not rise if the yeast is dead. You just want to combine that with some all-purpose flour and some salt and some other dry ingredients, and then give it a really good mix. Then you want to add in a tangzong. A tangzong is his secret component, and I believe it gives you the best result. Just a combination of milk, water and flour, and it gives it a really nice smooth and soft texture to the bread, and makes it really bouncy and really great for making this type of burgers. And so it's a tangzong brioche sort of thing. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you don't, it's okay. As long as you follow this recipe to the T, you will get the best result. We just added in some eggs and some butter and gave everything a really good mix. And you just want to sit there and knead it for around 10 to 12 minutes. It will not knead very well at first due to all of the fat that's inside, but take your time, keep kneading it until it becomes as smooth as you could possibly get it. It is an arm workout, but the end result is amazing. If you'd like to turn it out onto your work surface to complete kneading, you can go ahead and do so, or you can knead it in the bowl or in the bowl of your stand mixer if you have one. It's completely optional, but do you just make sure, as long as at the end of the day you have a nice smooth even dough, and that will give you the best results because you're forming the gluten connections thing. It's like a really complex thing. I feel like if you got into the way baking and most recipes are done, you'd get confused because there's so much chemistry and biology behind it. So yeah, once it's all nice and smooth, you just want to form it into a nice big ball, and then you want to place it into an oiled container, and then you want to let it rest for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. If you live in a place like Nairobi and it's a little bit chilly, I suggest 2 hours. If you live in Mombasa where it's hot, even an hour and 10 minutes would be good. Just need to make sure everything, like the dough, is doubled in size, and you can use a marking line to know where it was in the beginning so that you can monitor the growth. Cover it and let it sit. Once it's when it's doubled in size or tripled or quadrupled, whatever, however long it took you, want to gently dump it out onto your work surface with some flour, and then you want to degas all of that air we took time in rising to form. Degas it and then form it into a ball, and you want to divide it evenly into 8 pieces, either 8 or 6 pieces. Yeah, so divide it to half, then each piece you divide it into 3 or 4 pieces, and if you have a weighing scale, about 95 to 105 grams. But if you don't, like me in this scenario, just do it by eye, and I'm sure you'll get pretty okay looking burgers. Once they're all nice and divided up, you just want to form them into the balls. So just take one, dab it in the middle, create a depression, pull the sides inwards and outwards and inwards, and then put it in between your thumb and your index finger, and then roll it and roll it and roll it around and around, just until you form a really nice and tight ball. You need to make sure it is as tight as possible and you have really nice round buns. Now once you're done with all of that, just want to set them aside, and you can now proof them for the second time. This is very work intensive, but trust me, the result is worth it. So just want to place them onto the baking sheet, and you want to let them rise for about an hour to an hour and a half, and until they just big, like they look massive. That's like the end product that we're looking for here. And look, in the meantime, we can start to make our other components. So we're gonna make the burger sauce first, or fry sauce. You can start by combining some mayonnaise, some chili sauce, and some tomato sauce, along with some salt and pepper, just to bring everything together. Give that a really good mix, and you can add any sauces that you'd like. If you want to make your own combination, go ahead and do so. Just regulate the different amounts. And just know, if you can do a tomato based sauce, you could do a mayonnaise based sauce or a chili sauce based sauce. It's completely up to you. Next, you want to brush your buns with some egg wash, just to give it a nice and shiny top. And you could add sesame seeds if you'd like. I had them, but I just wasn't feeling adding sesame seeds at all, so just let them be as they were. So once your buns are out of the oven, I usually bake them at 180 degrees for 18 to 20 minutes. We can start to work on our chicken again. So add some oil into a large wok or frying pan, and we can preheat that oil. In the meantime, we can start to bread our chicken. And for the bread, you want to combine some all-purpose flour and some cornstarch. Cornstarch is really important so that you can get something really nice and crispy and delicious. And it's usually really important so that you can get a crunch. Otherwise, if you just use flour, usually it will go soggy like really quickly. So you want to combine some flour, cornstarch, and the spices that we had used originally in the chicken. Just the same levels of spice. And then you want to take your piece of chicken, and then you want to gently dredge it in that flour. You want to coat it, take that flour and press it onto that chicken so that you can have a beautiful coating all over the outside. And for this, we're going to do 2 coats, because once we have them coated for the first time, just coat it, press it really hard, shake off the excess and set aside. What's going to happen, the coating is going to start to dissolve, so we'll just let it sit. And then once it has kind of dissolved, you want to coat it again just before putting it into the fryer, so that you can get a super crispy result. So you just want to bread all of your chicken and place it onto a tray, and then you can head on back to the stove and start to fry up this chicken. Just before you fry it, as I had said, dip it in flour again. You want to fry them about 2 or 3 at a time, depending on the size of your frying pot. And you want to fry them until you have a super nice and almost fully golden brown. Personally I did 2 fries, but for the first 2 pieces of chicken I did 1 fry, but for the other I decided to do 2 fries. First one to cook the chicken through, then for the second one to get it super nice and crispy. So once that's done, you can now start to assemble our chicken burgers. So to a toasted bun and split in half, we wanna add in some of that fry sauce that he had made earlier and spread it over the top of those buns. It's gonna give it some moisture and make it really juicy and amazing. Add on some lettuce onto both of the buns, and then add on some tomato slices. Here I did 3, and then on top of that you wanna add a beautiful piece of chicken. And then on top of the chicken, add in some cucumber and crown your king. And that's it. It's kind of expensive if you decide to do the buns, but trust me, the result is amazing. We had some guests over and they absolutely loved these. So I hope you guys give this recipe a try, and if you do, tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see it.